As the years go by, automotive repair is becoming more and more reliant on scan tools. And today we have a new one to take a look at. This is the AUTOFIX D1 Pro. Now, some of you might not have heard of AUTOFIX as it's fairly new in the US market, but it comes from someone that most of you have already heard about in the past. So let's start off with a little bit of an unboxing. Now, this isn't a true unboxing because I've been using this and had this for several months now. I would not be showing you guys a product that I have not used and have not been hands-on with. So we get a nice, sturdy, blow-molded case here. We'll flip it around, pop the latches, and look at what comes with this tool. So you get the actual scan tool itself, which is a very slim Android tablet. Got your I/O here on the top, power button, no other buttons on the sides or bottom of it. Set that to the side. We get a quick reference guide here. We get a microfiber for wiping fingerprints off. And if we look right here, you know, earlier I said you might not have heard of AUTOFIX, but you probably heard of who it's coming from, and that's AUTEL. Now, we know all about AUTEL and AUTEL scanners. They've been around for a long time, and this is an offshoot of AUTEL, AUTOFIX. Now, we've got our vehicle interface module here. Now, this is a really compact, really handy little VCI, and it has a built-in flashlight for finding your OBD port under those dark dashboards. Now, this is very similar to the one that comes in the Snap-on Zeus. Really like how small and compact it is. You don't have to worry about cables or a VCI box under your feet if you're going on a test drive and monitoring live data. You don't have to worry about that with this because it's compact and tucked out of the way. So we've got our scanner and our VCI, which, you know, we should have. We go up here in the top, our accessories. We've got power cords, USB cords, various cables. And this side we have, I believe, a power cord. And we do. Power cord to keep it charged up. All right, without further ado, let's get into the actual tablet, into the actual tool. We'll hit our power button, watch our power up speed pretty quick to boot. We got our AUTOFIX, your friendly consultant, loading screen. And again, this is an Android-based tool. Nice little compact, lightweight tablet. One critique off of the boat would be that it doesn't have any kind of a kickstand or anything, but it is really thin and it is fairly light for the size of it. So let's swipe up and we immediately load into the diagnostic suite. And again, AUTEL users, I'm sure you're very familiar with the icons, the menu, the layout here. We've got all of our normal stuff you'd find with an AUTEL scan tool. Now, I reached out to AUTOFIX and asked them what equivalence this would be to an AUTEL tool, and they told me this equates to an AUTEL MS906 Pro. If I'm recalling correctly, I'll put on the screen need correction. I'm not too familiar with AUTEL scan tools, but looking online, that tool is about $1,300 to $1,700 depending on what retailer you purchase it for. This tool is much less and apparently has all the same functionalities. Now on the front we have our diagnostics, services, settings, data manager, VCI manager, battery test, Maxi tools, update. We also have remote desktop, quick link demonstration, user feedback support, OEM authorization, Maxi viewer, Maxi video, Maxi Scope, and AUTEL User Center. Now, when you first boot it up, of course, you've got to log in, do a million updates, all the typical stuff, register device. Mine has already been registered and updated, but we do have one update pending. I just booted up and saw an update pending. So let's check update speeds really quickly for you guys. We'll go through and do this update, which is one that is of no concern or consequence to me, but we'll go ahead and update it, as we did just have a Subaru update, I think just the other day. So for those of you that are curious about the tool, you will get 2 years of activated updates. 2 years of updates with the tool. And then from there, as you see here, it is $2.99 a year for your updates on the tool. Now up here we've got an AUTEL software update summer flash sale up to 40% off for a limited time. So there are sales, there are promotions, there are things that go on where you might get it for less than that $2.99 a year. So as we're downloading here, we're at 30% now. Not sure the size of the update. This does update fairly quickly and install fairly quickly. Again, that is determined by your Wi-Fi connection, your Wi-Fi signal, but it is fairly decently quick at doing the updates, free over the air, as long as you are within your term for your updates. We'll let that go ahead and go through the installation process. We will jump in my 2015 Outback. We will go through, scan the car, go through some of the bidirectional control, and go through some of the other parts of the tool, and we'll talk about some accessories that you can put with this tool. Good thing about this being powered by AUTEL means that you can use AUTEL integrated functions like AUTEL's borescope, AUTEL's oscilloscope, and some other accessories for their scan tools will work on the AUTOFIX. So we've got plenty of options here on the home screen. We've got diagnostics, which we would go into once we've hooked the VCI up and want to scan a vehicle. We've got service, which will bring us like some hot function services like oil life resets, checking TPMS sensors, immobilization keys, that kind of thing. We've got our settings, which takes us through our Android settings for all kinds of different metrics. We've got the data manager that will keep track of vehicle history, customers, all that kind of stuff. This is pretty much a shop level tool here. Again, with the accessories of an oscilloscope, borescope, etc., this can be your all-around tool other than programming, which I'm not sure if this one does programming or not. I don't do programming myself, but there might be some capability here with a different VCI. I don't think you can program with the one included. There's the VCI manager that will connect to your VCI, do any updates you need to do. Battery test. This will work with some of AUTEL's battery testing equipment. I think AUTOFIX is now branding their own of these equipments, oscilloscope, battery tester, etc., or at least some of the things I've seen are being branded as AUTOFIX to correlate instead of having to switch between that and AUTEL. So swiping over again, what we got here, we've got Maxi Video. If you have the AUTEL borescope, which I happen to have, you can hook it in and turn this scan tool into a giant borescope screen. Maxi Scope, if you again have AUTEL's borescope, you can connect it via USB and you have a full borescope. So quick overview of all that stuff. Let's go plug it in and see what we can do on my 2015 Subaru Outback.
So we've got our VCI plugged into the OBD2 port.
And we've got our tool here. Sorry about the lighting here. There's a glare on the screen. I've got it pretty much set as well as I can to minimize that glare without doing a screen recording, which is built into the tool that you can screen record and do screenshots. So as you heard, there was a beep and then popped up on our screen without having to touch anything was it identified my Outback with the VIN number and it's ready to go. Now it pops up. We're going to do a standalone diagnostic scan here. This is not a pre and post scan kind of deal. It's going to go through, load in our Subaru programming, tell it we're in North America. Okay. VIN number read. Okay. Checking everything. All right, let's go ahead and do an auto scan. Now, I scanned this car after I bought it, did not find, well, I found quite a few codes, but most of them were due to low battery voltage. The car had sat for a while, battery died. He tried to start it. New battery was replaced, so I'm sure a lot of that was leftover codes from that. But I haven't checked it again after clearing all that and driving at almost 1,000 miles. So let's go ahead and do a full fault scan. There's a little bit of a warning here. For some reason, I'm not sure why, about your wipers while scanning it. We're going to go through and do a scan. And as you see, it goes through all of our different modules. Up here at the top, we see that our VCI is connected, green check mark. We also get our battery voltage. So we've got one code for stability malfunction, history code. We've got an occupancy detection system malfunction code. Which this code actually might have been tripped by another scan tool I had plugged in, because when I had that scan tool plugged in, it triggered the airbag light, so that's probably a false code. This might be a false code as well, but we will make note of that and come back later. But right now, we're just going to do a quick erase and erase all of the fault codes that it found in all of the modules. And we can go to Control Unit, and this will let us go into each individual system in the vehicle, whether we want to go to the engine, transmission, body control module, etc. Let's just go into the engine real quick. Take a look around in there. So we've got ECU information, trouble codes, live data, active test, and special functions. So under live data, just the other day, I was trying to work out an issue with the car. We've touched on it in a future video from this video, but I'll kind of leave it a little bit open-ended there. We talk about it in a future video, probably Sunday's video. But I had an issue with the car, and I was trying to figure out the issue. Now, I suspected that it was a misfire, but it was not throwing a code, was not flashing a check engine light at me, just a weird little issue every once in a while. So I said, all right, well, I'll go through our live data, and I'll open up and find our roughness monitors, which is basically what Subaru uses instead of a misfire counter, a roughness monitor for cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'll view those on live data. So let's just go ahead and select our roughness monitors, hit OK. It'll give us a list. Now we have a drop-down menu, but we can't graph these roughness monitors. If we collect all this and hit graph merge, it won't let us do that either. So I was like, well, that's aggravating. I got to drive down the road and watch and hope I see one of those numbers change from 0 to capture this glitch. Well, that comes down to not knowing how a different tool does things differently, because if you go over here to special functions, you can find the simple roughness monitor, which it wants you to start the engine, but I'm not going to. You can get the simple roughness monitor that's got your engine speed and your roughness for all 4. You can hit graph merge, and it will show you basically the same way the Subaru Select monitor shows you, the factory Subaru scan tool, a line chart, and anytime there's a roughness or a misfire, it'll spike and create a little line graph for you, where it's a lot easier to see than watching those numbers before. So again, you know, knowing a tool and knowing how the tool is set up is key in some of your diagnostics gathering of data. So we've got a simple roughness monitor, we've got a high-grade roughness monitor, we've got all kinds of different things. We've got oil life resets, we've got active test. Under the active test, we've got a whole host of things that we can do here. Got trouble codes to read, all of that good stuff. Normal stuff you'll find in a vehicle. Let's go into body control module, because I haven't really poked around in a newer Subaru's body control module. Back in the day, Subarus were very rudimentary in their bidirectional control through a scan tool, because Subaru's PCMs and electronic systems were very rudimentary as well. So there wasn't a lot of testing you could do with the push of a button from a scan tool. It was more or less old school testing of components with an oscilloscope or DVOM, or going and connecting the green test mode connectors, turning the switch on, and watching all of the relay cycle on and off. So let's look at some special functions here under the body control module. We got keyless ID registrations, initialization of keys or keyless. Nothing really cool there, other than I'll need that probably when I go ahead and get myself a second key. This car only came with one. That's nice. Let's check
this out, because this is an issue I've had with this car, is the keyless buzzer, that when I hit the lock button, it's not giving me the little beep beep. If you hit it 3 times, it'll blow the horn, but the little beep beep that it normally does is not working. Now, I've gone through the procedure from Subaru about sitting in the seat, pushing and holding the unlock button, shutting the door, running the key in and out of the ignition switch 3 times, opening the door, shutting the door. It will flash the hazards and it will say, you know, that it's working, but it's not working. And I've looked underneath the car and I'm not seeing the output. The keyless buzzer doesn't seem to be in the car. So let's go ahead and hit start. It's not buzzing. I think my keyless buzzer is missing from this car. It's not where it should be according to the factory service manual. It should be on the radiator support under the headlight, and I didn't see it. I didn't even see a pigtail that was supposed to go to it. So, yeah, I think my keyless buzzer is actually just missing on this car. I don't know if it was an option on the premiums or what the deal is, but I'm not seeing it and I'm not hearing it now. So we'll go ahead and try the same thing with the horn. And I'm sure it's going to work because my horn works. So let's hit. Horn works. Again, just with the scan tool, not touching the horn button. Pretty neat that we can test things like that now in Subarus through bidirectional control. So, keyless buzzer, that one's a head scratcher. I need to figure out what's going on there. When to do the rear gate, the automatic lift gate, it will buzz. I don't know if it's 2 separate buzzers. It seems to be. Very weird. I have to dig in that more. So there's all kinds of special controls, all kinds of functionality. We'll go through. Let's go in the transmission real quick. I'm sure that the CVT learn process is in here. That's a pretty common thing for scan tools to be able to do, especially newer ones on Subarus. So just make sure that we've got all of our functionality we should need. Yep, clear AT learning mode, all that good stuff, switching on the all-wheel drive and off. All kinds of tests, all kinds of functionality. Basically, what you would get with a Subaru Select monitor for a very small price tag compared to buying the factory Subaru tool, and in a lot smaller, easier to use form factor. So here's a neat one under the data manager. We can go look at our vehicle history and it'll show what we scanned, and when we scanned it, we can look at workshop information, a customer database. We can have stored images, all kinds of stuff. Here's a neat one, review data and data logging. While I was doing the diagnostic on this car, trying to capture what I thought was going on, you can record the live data, you can record the test, and view it back. And you see these little flags. There's a button while you're recording that you can hit to flag an event. So here we have 1470 RPM, all the roughness monitors at 0. Let's go to our flag, and boom, we've got a 1 for cylinder 3 for roughness. We go through to our next flag, and boom, we've got roughness for cylinder 1. And we go through to our next flag, and we see roughness for cylinder 3 once again. Each cylinder is color coordinated over here. You can change the colors if you so desire. You can change zooming in and zooming out on the pattern. But what this is I was experiencing a hesitation, a jerkiness. It almost felt like transmission slip. I thought it was a micro slip event in the CVT. Given the mileage and the condition of the car and the service history, I thought maybe we were having some slippage. Or maybe that it was the torque converter locking and unlocking abruptly. It was a really jarring small event that would happen. Well, after I started thinking about it, I was like, well, maybe it's not in the CVT, because I went through and drove it, and I watched the input and output speed sensors and did a comparison to see if there was any kind of slippage there. I said, you know what, this might be a little phantom misfire that's not enough to detect for the PCM to throw a P0304 or 303 or whatever cylinder misfire code. So I went through and did the simple roughness monitor and drove it. And lo and behold, every time I felt that little hiccup, when it would sporadically happen, boom, a little bit of roughness. One or two little misfires on one cylinder here or there. So likely what we got here is just lack of maintenance. We probably needed a set of spark plugs, probably need to go ahead and replace the cam cover gaskets, which we know are leaking, but those spark plug tube seals are likely leaking as well. We probably got some oil in there on those coils. Those plugs are probably old and worn. This is probably what's going on here, and this tool helped to pinpoint it and diagnose it quickly and easily. And especially like the fact that I can go back through, and as you see, we can actually play this data as if I was driving the car that day, and we can quickly slide back and forth to those flagged events to check it once we are back and no longer driving and no longer trying to drive and mess with a scan tool. But here we are coming up on that flag, and we'll see, boom, right there. Now you can actually put a description on these flags, but we saw our little graph shoot up. We saw our roughness count, saw what cylinder it was, we're able to flag it for playback later.
So guys, we could go round and round talking about all the features and benefits of this tool, but this video would go on forever and ever. This is a super handy, super useful, high-level diagnostic tool in a very small package, and it is a very affordable package. Now, as I said before, this equates to, I believe, an MS906 Pro from AUTEL, and that tool, as I said, retails, depending on the location you're purchasing and the retailer, between $1,300 and $1,700. Now, this tool lists for right at $1,000, $999, but AutoFix has given me a promotional code to give to you viewers if you are so inclined or interested in purchasing this tool for 15% off. I will have links in the description of the video for where you can purchase the tool and for the promotional code to get that 15% off on the tool. And again, you're going to get those updates for 2 years with the tool, and then it's $299 a year after that. Now, as I said before, there are add-ons from AUTEL that you can use in conjunction with this tool. So we talked about the oscilloscope, we talked about the borescope. I don't have the oscilloscope, so I cannot show you that, but I did buy the AUTEL borescope, which is quite affordable, and I will leave a link on the video to that as well. But I'll go through really quickly and just connect it, show you how quick and simple it is, and how you can turn your scan tool into a gigantic screened borescope. Now, it is really nasty outside right now, and it's been raining basically all week, so unfortunately we can't just go jump in and throw that down a spark plug hole or something in a Subaru, but we'll hit Maxi Video, and boom, we are up and running. We can look at this little Bobcat excavator I've got here, and this little Bobcat skid steer. But you can take still pictures, you can take videos with the borescope, you can save the files onto the scan tool to show your customers any issues you find with their vehicle. And, just another really super handy thing to have the borescope built in and saved directly to the scan tool. Give you a big screen, or you're not squinting looking at a cell phone or some little standalone unit. And, just another level of integration into the whole ecosystem of AUTEL/AutoFix and their diagnostic capabilities. So guys, there you have it, a quick overview and rundown of the new AUTOFIX D1 Pro. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next one.